Hello, YouTube. It's MQX, and I'm back with another interview. This time, we're going to have Ryan Hart.
Hello. hello.
Obviously, Ryan's an absolute legend. He needs no introduction, but we're going to give you one anyway. Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, good question. I don't even know myself these days. My name is Ryan Hart. I'm in the United Kingdom. I am a content creator and social media manager and editorial event presenter, host, somewhat pro gamer. I don't even know how you label me there. It's an interesting one. There's definitely some fingers in quite a few pies. So yeah, it's just been a very interesting few years, the most recent journey. And I've kind of been embarking upon new endeavors, kind of left, right, and center, and it's been very challenging, very interesting. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And also, I think with this whole pandemic, it's been quite an interesting change of habits and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my intro.
I suppose. I mean, everyone's a content creator these days.
Yeah, for sure.
What's this? But that's how it be. Like, you can't, even, to be honest, I think even if there wasn't a pandemic, you couldn't just be a pro player anymore. You can't just be good at game and expect to be paid. You have to be...
Only if you're the very, very, very best. Literally you're performing at, in sixth gear every event and you're coming away with the trophy and the media works for you, basically. That's the only time you're gonna... Do you know what I mean? Anything else, and I think you're sort of
I think...
put into the column of content creator at some point.
Yeah, actually, I might agree with that. But I don't.
This is literally the 0.1% of a global, community of players.
I'm trying to think who actually fits that bill, really.
Well, Daigo doesn't have to make any content.
Actually,
because
that's true.
He doesn't have to create any. Tokido, his performance is his content creation. This is his museum works of art. Those highlight reels, those performances at Evos, those events that he just explodes at and beats everyone. Any player on that level, the Daigos, the Tokidos. There are certain players that have garnered such a strong reputation that people kind of make the content for them. Sako is a good example of a top player, but one that doesn't necessarily win a lot of tournaments. But because his name speaks so many high volumes, he wouldn't necessarily have to create... it depends what the end game is, but I don't think that his popularity is going to dwindle if he doesn't create content.
I'm not... Actually, you know what? I agree. I agree on the likes of, Daigo, Tokido, and Sako, but the thing about Tokido is he doesn't even have to stream because he's just battering everyone else on their streams. So there's your content.
I think it depends on what you want your end product to look like. If you're trying to make money, that's a different conversation.
Oh yeah.
If you're trying to make money and then you don't necessarily win everything and you don't necessarily stream or have any outlet for your own content, then I think it might be there might be a different kind of situation going on. But just in terms of how popular you are, I don't think Sako's popularity would dwindle just because he doesn't create content, because his tournament presence is enough. But that's but again, when it comes to being lucrative in the FGC, I think that's a different conversation as well.
Oh, entirely. That's a whole fucking podcast in itself, mate. All right. I think that's a pretty good answer to what you do, because we all wear so many different hats these days. Because like I said, we have to. I'm not comparing myself to the level you're on in any way, shape, or form. I should clarify that. But I am but little minnow in comparison. I'm I might be getting paid to play the game, but I need to win. I need to win lots of things. I need to win lots of things before people start just casually mentioning my name when people bring up you say fighting games, people say Daigo Umehara, Ryan Hart, Takedo. That's definitely something to aspire to.
I think there's a risk in focusing on who's doing what with what you're in. I mean, if it's a question about your own goal, your own journey, your own quests, as it were, I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of enjoyment that you can miss if you put a lot of focus, a lot of energy into just looking at who the front runners are. You know, when you put all the focus into who you need. I mean, it depends where you are in your journey. There are a few, I believe, important stepping stones that you embark upon where you need to decide certain things for yourself. But when you're, you know, in that chase, that chase for completion, that chase for, you know, who am I going to be in this? Okay, that's who Xian is. That's who, you know, Daigo is. That's who Ryan is. That's who Bonchan is. When you're in that, you know, you're sort of in a place of, most people that talk like that are finding themselves still. This is why they look at people who seem to be complete, because that's where they then find a comparison. And I think that when you're on a quest in tournaments, you know, entering, I don't know, ranking, premiers, whatever it is these days, Capcom Pro Tour, big tournaments, you set goals, you know, you set goals and you set a standard for yourself, and, you know, you tell yourself that I want to make top 8, I want to get here. But I think one key component is just the enjoyment factor. I think it's really vital that you look at where you're actually having fun. And that fun doesn't necessarily mean smiles and giggles. It can mean the seriousness of competition can be your fun. You know, the grueling tests on training mode to make sure you can hit confirm everything when you see the counter hit come up on screen. You know, that can be your fun, however tedious and monotonous for someone else. So, but I'm just saying, I think it's really important to find your quote unquote fun to maximize your journey and not put too much energy. Know who's out there, but not too much energy into who else is out there doing what, and, you know, who you can't be, or whatever, you know, whatever topics come into that conversation. But yeah, that's just my little 2 cents there, because I hear that quite a lot from different players, often very good players as well, that are, you know, very close to a new threshold themselves. But sometimes people find themselves getting caught up in the who's what instead of the how am I going to reach that.
That's the smartest shit I've heard all week. No joke. That's the smartest shit I've heard all week. Like, you have actually touched on something that I tend to hyper focus on. Like, I always say, like, I personally, you'll see this as a pitfall. I always hyper focus on, I want to outplace this guy. I want to outplace that guy. I want to outplace these people. Like, it's not just I want to get top 8. It's I want to finish ahead of these people. I want to beat this. I want to smash this person in bracket. Yeah. And I'm not looking at it and thinking, well, where am I deriving fun from this? Where am I? Like, I mean, obviously, winning can be its own fun, its own reward, but you aren't always going to win. So
winning can be losing. That's the thing that people don't recognize. Winning can be a way to mask issues that you're dealing with that you feel is going to be the answer. That's going to be the correct outlet to manage this problem. You don't know that you might not even recognize that that's what's happening, but there are situations where you've got a tournament ahead of you, right? We're 5 days out from versus fighting. Okay, I'm going to get my shit together. I'm going to be, you know, but then when you go there and then you make top 8 and you know, you tick all the boxes. I beat that guy. You know, that guy who beat me on ranked, I got him in losers and I sent him home and all that stuff. Everything on stream, the highlight of your day. You get top 8, you even get you get top 4. You know, you weren't even planning to get top 4, but you got top 4 in a premiere, all these sick players that you beat, but then you leave the venue empty. You leave the venue unhappy. No satisfaction, no fulfillment. Why? And sometimes this comes down to the fact that the way that you've set your goals, the way that you've created the energy around your representation at the event isn't based on a formula that fulfills you as an individual. It's just based on a perception of what's accepted as good. My mates will say I'm sick if XY. You know, it's based on false perception. These are not actually the things that are important to you per se. It's all about what matters to you. Sometimes people will say, look, just to give you an obvious metaphor here, on the opposite end of the stick, there are sometimes times where, you know, your friends, family members, I don't know, teammates might say, hey, you know what? If you get out of pools, you've got the pool of death, man. You've got Daigo in there. You know, I can see Saka, I see Mago in there. You've got the freaking pool of death, MQS. If you get out of pools, you are amazing. And in your head, you're kind of like, yeah, actually, you know what? That's a crazy ass pool. If I come out of that in winners, I'm, you know, but in your head, you might be, screw this, pools? Nah, man, I'm trying to get top 16. I'm trying to get top 8. I'm trying to be in the grand final. You see what I'm saying? So there's times where people will do that for you, and they don't mean any ill will or anything. I'm not saying you're a bad player. They honestly mean that if you get out of this pool, you're sick because everyone's in there. You see what I'm saying? But what they may not recognize is that their views on what is cool or good to be seen as an end goal might not be where you are. You know, sometimes there's a big difference there, and I think it's always good to stay close to home in why your goals are set the way they are. I need to get top 8. Why do you need to get top 8? Sometimes people need to look at the why, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I had the inverse of that with the Red Bull Kumite LCQ last weekend, because people are like, like people will basically say to me, Ben, if you don't win your pool, you're shit. And I'm like, thanks. What? Like, why would you say that?
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
Why would you I had it's not like it was free. I had Pax and Joker jokes in there. Pax didn't end up playing because Pax did commentary. But that wasn't a free pool. I mean, and then I'm touching on what you've just said there. When I got top 8, I'm just like, okay, I'm in top 8 now. I guess
yeah. You can drop the ball early when you make the goal. You can think, oh, I made it to grand final. Okay, well, you haven't prepared for what comes after. See, so sometimes it's not good to set goals in a sense that limits you, because now you're in grand final. You haven't really planned for that stage of the event, and so it's good to set goals, but I don't think you always have to set them to a place where once you're there, you kind of lose some quality in who you are or in your gameplay.
Because my goals I'm not typically expected to do as well as, say, Boltstrike, my teammate, but I am expected to perform. I'm expected to perform. I'm expected to get stream time. I got top 8 and I got stream time. So maybe I just got really.
But you're not typically. So just quoting what you said. So you're not typically expected to do well in comparison to your teammate Boltstrike. According to who?
That's a good question. Who?
No, but you said that. Who are you talking about when you said they are?
I feel like that's an expectation most people would have of me, but no one. I suppose when you say that, no one explicitly said that. Oh, that's
all right.
Deep.
So there are two things.
That's deep. That's some.
Right. So there are two conundrums here. So you have placed limiters on your own capacity. You have told yourself that the community or society deems that you aren't as good as Boltstrike in tournament environments. This is something that you have placed on yourself. It's a limiter. Okay, so you have to deal with that any way that you feel you can. And then secondly, there's possibly an idea in your head that's come from something real. Maybe someone said that in the past. Maybe you've seen that in a stream chat. Maybe that's something that you felt because of Boltstrike maybe has outplaced you in a few tournaments that meant something to you. There are obviously some factors there. But then those are elements that can be your goal. I'm going to try to place better than Boltstrike for this next tournament, or for the next three. You know what? The next 3 tournaments, when I see Boltstrike's name in the bracket, I want to place higher than him. Even if we don't go head to head, I would like to. If he comes third, I need to come second. If he comes second, I need to beat him in grand finals, whatever it is. If he gets top 16, I'm in top 8. And you can use this kind of thing as you can use these as performance markers. Just like in a job, you have goals. If you're in sales, you have goals. You have targets. You need to have goals and aims in the FGC as well, because if you look at something like ranked, which is an endless time warping machine that keeps you in this dimension of playing different matchups repeatedly and so on, it's very easy to lose focus in a format like that. What are you doing this for? Where are you going? What are you learning? Where are the benefits? Are you better today than you were yesterday? The answer is most commonly no, because there are no goals set out. There are no aims in this session. You've done a 6-hour session. I've been thinking about this recently with my streams. You know, sometimes I stream 2 hours, sometimes I stream 6 hours, sometimes, you know, and it's like, in that stream, what was accomplished? You know, okay, viewers came in, everyone was entertained. Okay, cool. If that's the goal, cool. But me as a player, did I learn something? You know, was I able to teach myself something? Did I educate the stream well? Did I learn from the stream? You know, and so you look at progress, because time is our most expensive commodity. So you have to spend it right. You have to use that shit right, because this is the most expensive thing you will ever spend. So make sure that whatever you're spending it on is valuable and gives back to you to the same degree.
That's, again, I like, this is something I'm probably going to be lying awake at 3 a.m. thinking about these words, and I'm just going to be like, shit.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, you know. They don't teach you these things in school, but when you become an adult, you learn that a lot of the stuff, you know, that's going on is about a mindless droll of endurance, you know, binging a Netflix show, you know, like you're just spending time sitting there for hours on Facebook, going through a friend's profile, or on Instagram, or on Twitter, replying back and forth in conversations. Like you're just spending a lot of resources, you know. And sometimes LinkedIn. I don't know, LinkedIn again, yeah, a social networking model, you know, slightly business advocated, but yeah, nonetheless, it is a social endeavor as well. So yeah,
it's mind destroying. I'll give you that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things that are mainstream palatable are these days.
Exactly, but
yeah.
No, that's a lot to digest. That's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I was going to move on to move on to my next question. Right. We both like people might not know this about me, but they'll definitely know this about you. We both came from Tekken. I noticed that you seem to have a bit of a... I'm not sure if love-hate relationship is the right term to use, but you seem to be very on-off with it. Is that something? Is there... Why do you think that is? Because...
On-off with Tekken or on-off with Street Fighter?
With Tekken.
So the thing is with Tekken is... so just to back up a bit. So I started with Street Fighter, actually, because Street Fighter was the first game around. It wasn't because I didn't like Tekken, even though I didn't like Tekken. But Street Fighter was around since the I started playing Street Fighter in 1989. Can you believe it? I was 10 years old. You know, I was. I mean, a lot of people don't know this about me. I was born in the 70s. I'm an old chap. Do you know what I mean? And I played Street Fighter in 1989. 10-year-old kid, couldn't even see over the joystick properly. You know. And I was playing Street Fighter 1. Ryu had red hair, which was bizarrely odd. But, yeah, so, and that was where Street Fighter began. And then Tekken didn't come in till, I don't know, you know, early 90s, when it started appearing in arcades. I remember being in Streatham, a place called Mega Bowl, the bowling alley. I don't know if it still exists. But they had an arcade in there as well, and they had a few fighting games. And me and my friend used to go there to play Mortal Kombat 2, because they had a really good cabinet for MK2. And they had Tekken there. So that was my first intro to Tekken. So Tekken didn't come in, and then I used to just play the CPU, but Tekken didn't fully become implemented in my life until Tekken 2, and I saw King's multi-grip throw. And by that time I was already integrated into King of Fighters, Samurai Showdown, Fatal Fury, you know, Mortal Kombat. I think even Killer Instinct had made its debut in my life. So I was already heavily into many other games before Tekken became, you know, a favorite of mine. So, but yeah, I really appreciated it for what it was. I hated VF at the time, so that's interesting too. But the thing is with Tekken is, you know, it's become a simpler game in some areas, but it's also a very technical game still, and it still requires a lot of time and a lot of manual labor. You know, if you want to perfect your movement, if you want to have that crisp Korean backdash and slick movement when I'm you know, stepping and wave dashing, then it takes a lot of time up, and that time, for me, because I have so little of it for, you know, reserved for gaming, has to be kind of dedicated now. So I have to choose. Okay, I'm playing SF5 this month. You know, I'm playing Tekken this month, or I've got this event coming up in 3 months. I'm going to work towards that. I can't play 5, 6 different games like I used to be able to when I had more game time, basically. So that's what it comes down to. It's nothing to do with my love for the game or anything like that, or lack of. It's literally because I just don't have the hours on the clock.
That's good to hear.
To dedicate, yeah. Oh yeah, Tekken's amazing. It's still my favorite game. I think Tekken 7's the best game out right now. But fighting game. I don't think there's a fighting game on the planet better than Tekken 7 today. I mean, in terms of what's relevant now, there are better games if you look at the history of fighting games. But I do think that Tekken 7, for what's active today, for what you might see in Evo, is probably the best game on the planet.
I believe I've been over my personal opinion of Tekken 7 with you before, but maybe I'm just like the 30-year-old boomer, but I just like they changed too much for me. I look at it and I'm like, okay,
that's a fair point.
Okay, because I look at it and I'm like, I'm not just gonna sit and moan about guest characters because they're there, they're not going away. But you look at every single one that they've released, and they've just always been a massive problem. Like, I just don't think they've ever really balanced them right. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
And as mad as people got about Leroy and Fakaram, they were at least like Tekken characters. They fitted Tekken. They fitted Tekken archetypes. They weren't just shoehorned 2D archetypes put into a 3D game, and then nobody sat and thought about maybe we shouldn't have maybe we shouldn't have given Geese Howard a mode where he can freely cancel most of his buttons, or stuff like that.
So I think so, you know, with the DLCs that came in from other IPs, I think that, you know, that was more a business move. It wasn't let's make Tekken a better game. It was, how can we get more numbers into the audience
I
that
agree.
like Tekken?
I agree entirely.
This is where the divide. So this is where the divide comes in, because the community, you know, Leeds, Newcastle, Manchester, you know, Birmingham, everyone's going to London. All the players that play in Liverpool, like wherever you are in the UK, you're going to London for that event because that's the only. So it's the big one, you know. It's the national championship, you know. Later on, that changed a little bit. It started to become representative based. So you would have the Liverpool representative come down from his qualifier where he is, you know, and the guy from Brum, the guy from, you know, wherever you live, you get the guy down from that area, and then it will just be this top 32 UK, blah blah blah, and that would be how they define the national champion for a game. Usually on release, you know, like, or a short time after release, they would have these national tournaments, and that would qualify you for something bigger in Europe and then in America or Japan and so on. I actually not a story I don't think I've ever talked about on an interview. So get ready for some exclusive.
Okay, yes, exclusive content. That's what we're here for.
Because I know you wanted me to give you something. So here it is. A few people know about this. F Word has talked about it as well. Like, so here's the short and skinny, right? So when Street Fighter 4 came out, Capcom announced that they were going to do a European / World Championship, and it would be done in stages. So you'd have your UK qualifiers, then you would have the European qualifiers, then you'd have like the world thing. And every country was in it as well. You know, you had Japan do their thing, America their thing. America had the GameStop challenge thing, where, you know, you had these qualifiers, all the different stores, and then, you know, it was all whittled down to one and all this stuff. But our one was online at first. It had over 1,000 players in it from all over the country, and then it became a top 64 or something. And then I think Capcom Europe gave out 2 qualifiers for the UK final, two qualifying spots. And they gave them to the Twins. And the Twins ran a Neo Empire Street Fighter 4 championship for Capcom. And Zach Bennett kicked my ass in the grand finals. I remember that. We both got to grand finals, and we both mained Sagat. I mained Ken in the beginning, but I felt that it was so difficult with Ken because I picked Sagat and suddenly the wins just came in really easily. So I thought, oh,
almost as if Vanilla Sagat was one of the most silly characters in
I was going to pick Sagat. Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't know about Akuma in those times. He was even worse later on. But anyway, we get to that. So yeah. So so I picked up Sagat, and there was a lot of talk around what would happen if I played Zack because he was really good, and I was coming up. I was getting better with Sagat at the time. And I met Zack in the grand finals, and I don't know if he had just been on form in the moment or if he'd prepared specifically for me, but he just battered me. And the thing with Zack Bennett is he was very aggressive. You know, he was called Zack Beast at one point. His nickname, Zack the Beast, or Zack. He was a very, very aggressive player, and I like that. I like, we don't have too many super aggressive players in the UK. I think Problem is a good example of someone who's very aggressive. Strong UK players were aggressive. That's the thing. The strong UK players that really go far on a global scale, we're always aggressive. We're not these slow, calculating players. We're aggressive. It comes from our culture in the UK of needing to fight for everything. Like, we're aggressive people, and we get results from that. And, in Japan, they can be really good at being like super patient, calculating, passive, let you exercise all your stuff, download you like that. We don't do that. We rush shit down and batter people. That's how we play.
I agree.
Tekken, Mortal Kombat. Look at who's good at Mortal Kombat. The twins, Ketchup Mustard, friggin' Foxy Grandpa. These are aggressive players. They rush it down and get the job done. In the UK, that's how games are about expression. This is how we express ourselves. We rush people down and we impose our will relentlessly, and we get the result like that. And this is why when Problem played Tokido, he wasn't ready. Because they don't do that in Japan. They're not ready for that. Why is this guy attacking here? Like, what? Yeah. And this is a strength of the UK. Every community and every culture has their strengths in how they play games. In the UK, we're very good at being offensive and oppressive. That's what we're good at. When we watch Japanese players get influenced and then try and be all this like careful, calculating everything by the throat, it don't work. It don't work. We don't have any champions from the UK that do that. Because everyone loses that tries that. Maybe we do all right, but we're never consistent champions that win and win. Look at Hurricane. Who's he using? Cammy, an oppressive character, offensive character. You see, all the UK champions, they rush down. They're aggressive. They rush down. They calculate. I'm not saying brainlessly, like, not just like dim-witted rushing down. No, it's smart. It's calculated. It's from a knowledge base, but it's aggression based. It's I'm in your face. What are you saying? And this is how we kind of mastered that for ourselves. So anyway, that's a side note. But back to the story. So Zack kicked my ass 3-0. I didn't get a game. Very salty. I was you know what? I was so salty that I went outside before the award ceremony because they were going to do the award ceremony straight after. It was the end of the night, and they went into the award ceremony and then kick everyone out. So it was really late. But I went outside. I just got battered and I needed some air. So I got up, shook his hand, and then I didn't go back to the, the stage where they're getting the top 8 on stage. No, I just went outside and I just thought, what? When I got outside, this is the BTS content that you guys don't know about. So what happens when a top player goes outside after losing? So I went outside and I just looked at the floor and I just thought, what the hell just happened? Because when it said round 1 fight on round 1 of game 1, I had it all planned out. I knew what was going to happen. I had everything worked out. I knew what I was going for. I was ready for scenarios. I had things figured. But he was prepared for me on another level, which is usually what I do. I'm the one doing to other people. He was prepared for me on a level I wasn't obviously not ready for. This is, you get caught out, isn't it? And it's a short set. 3 games is not a lot. It's Sagat. He hits hard. So yeah, if you make errors, you're going to pay. And I had no option. And I had no option but just to respect it. It was clinical. It was clean. It was well planned. And there was no area where I could just be like, I messed up that combo. There's ones where you would have won if you didn't drop the combo. There's a bit of a mental escape with those because you kind of put it on that and, okay, so yeah, it's not just that my strategy was bad. There was some mistakes there. Obviously, it's still on you, but the way it's on you is different, and that can sometimes lead to different outcomes when you're looking at the approach to the next time you plan for the matchup. But essentially, I was upset because I was out now. I was out of the runnings for the World Championship. And this is what hurt the most. It wasn't the losing. I've lost hundreds of games in different tournaments, but it hurt because that was for something big. I was now out of the runnings to then go on to the UK Championship, European, World, right? So I'm there thinking, should I just get my bag and go? And then Richard, Shin Dragon, Richard comes out and he goes, "Oh, Ryan, you needed. What are you talking about?" "Yeah, you came second. I need you back in there." "Oh, whatever. Let's just get it over with." So I go back in there and they get me on stage and they're like, "Congratulations." And they bring out this massive friggin' invitation card. And I'm like, "What's going on?" And they were like, "Well, we didn't tell you at the beginning, but Capcom gave us 2 invites to the UK Championship." And I was like, "What?" So yeah, Zach Bennett got the first and you're going. You came second. Congratulations. And I'm feeling, it was the weirdest mix of emotion because I'm feeling so upset, angry, disappointed in myself and all these things from the way I lost. And now I'm having to be like happy and smile on stage. Everyone's clapping and I'm just like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, you're going, man. You're going to the UK Championships." So I was like, right, this is it now. I'm like, okay, they've given me another shot. You don't give a guy like me another shot. And I went back to Germany because I had to fly back, work in that. And I went into training mode. And I went into my training mode, that Ryan's preparing for Mago training mode, where I just like, okay, this is serious now. And I don't do that often. It's very rare that I actually go into my lab. I mean, I can count on probably one hand the times I've actually done that in a real, like this is everything to me type scenario. The most recent time I did that was against Rip because I really wanted to smash into pieces. And before that, the time before that, yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, the 2 times that come to mind is when I played Mago and when I played Rip. But I've never lost to anyone when I've done this. But it's a really sad and depressing mode where you're literally in the hyperbolic chamber. You don't really have much contact to other people. You're just in your head with what you're doing to focus on the opponent. And I've surprised many people around the world on different games in how I've been able to beat certain players. Like, how did you just beat him that easily? And a lot of the time it's just down to the research and the preparation that I've gone into before the match. So I'm like, okay, I need to beat Zach this time because he battered me. So even though I thought I was ready, I wasn't. So this time it's going to take a bit more from me. And there's a UK Championship coming up that I'm going to, and it's on this day and all that. So I got my flyer books, all that nonsense, right? And then I went to the UK Championship, and Zach was on the other side of the bracket. So I thought, we're probably not even going to meet. I'll lose or he'll lose before, and that's it. But grand final was again Ryan Hart versus Zach Bennett. But this time, I was ready. I was super, super ready, and I beat Zach, and I didn't lose a single round. And I qualified for the European final. I can't remember if I lost. Maybe I lost one round. I can't remember, but it was definitely a dominant win, and you could see the difference in form between me that time and the time before. But Zach congratulated me. Really, really a great sportsman. He was congratulating me, and he even cheered for me in the finals. He came to the European finals and he cheered for me, and yeah, such a great guy. I miss having that guy around just in general, but I really miss him as an opponent as well because he was very strong and he was very talented and he had the right mindset as well.
He's working for Google these days, isn't he?
Sorry?
He's working for Google these days, isn't he?
Yeah, so I've heard. Yeah, so I've heard. But yeah, very, very talented player. Could have won Evo. He's one of those guys. He's one of those. He could have gone anywhere with gaming if he wanted. He had the skill. He had the talent. He knew how to get the job done, and he had the determination, and that's not a package that a lot of players have. But yeah, very, very impressed by that guy. So yeah, so now it's time to go to the European Championship. And I was keeping tabs on what was happening around the world, and I saw that Justin Wong had won the US one. So he was the representative for Japan, for America. Then I looked at the Japan one because I wanted to see what would happen, and Daigo lost. I really thought, because, Daigo was making moves with Ryu and he was really beating people, like he's really dominating. But then Mago started coming up with Sagat. I remember Mago and Daigo used to go back and forth. But in the qualifier, Daigo lost to this Sagat player called Vega Curry. You can look it up. He lost to a guy called Vega Curry and he did not win the Japanese championships. So you got European one, turned out to be me and Alioun in the grand finals, and I beat Alioun for the final. Sagat mirror again. 3 Sagat mirrors in 3 grand finals. So I became the European champion and the European representative for the world. And then Justin Wong won North America, and in Japan, Daigo didn't win, And this Vega Curry Sagat player who beat Daigo, he also lost. He didn't win. It turned out to be Io, this Japanese Dalsim player called Io. Really sick player. I remember at the time, I think he was, if not the sickest Dalsim that I'd ever seen, at that time, at least on Street Fighter 4. He was so impressive. He won the tournament. So he qualified for the GameStop finals in America, and like I did. There would be me, the Io, and Justin Wong, and I don't know however many other champions were supposed to be there. But yeah, at least from North America, Japan, and Europe, that would be that. They cut out Europe in the finals and just had it. They completely stripped Europe from that finals and just made it North America, Japan, and whoever else was in there. And then, as a bonus, as an extra kick in the teeth, if you will, they invited Daigo just for fun. He didn't win. He didn't earn he didn't win the spot. He lost he had equal chance like everyone else to enter that qualifier. He entered. He didn't win. Someone else won. And they invited Daigo anyway, and Daigo beat that guy who won. I don't think that's fair. Daigo beat Io, and don't get me wrong, it's one of the sickest things we'd ever seen with the DP on the limbs into super, freaking amazing. Like that still gets replayed in my head till this day. But it's not fair. Because that guy won an entire tournament to be there. He didn't just get invited and jump on a plane. Obviously, I know Daigo is that guy. He's the face. He's going to get you the sales, or he's going to get you the views. I know all that. And I know he's put in his stripes, much like I have, in the community, and he's kind of earned the spot to be the guy that becomes a representative, But at the same time, if you're going to have a format where you run a system of tournaments where a qualifier earns the right to be somewhere, you should honor that. So the two things that I'm kind of a bit not happy with is they just screwed Europe over, because who cares about Europe once more? They've done this many times before, but it's Europe. No one's really good from there, so why should we bother, So our whole entire journey of these 1,000, 2,000 players that started online and then went to the finals, then the Neo Empire tournament, then the Capcom, all that, nothing. All that down the toilet. And then in the US one, in the finals, they screwed over the Japanese champion by just having Daigo be there and steal the spotlight, even though he's probably better than the Dalsim that won. I know, it's weird, but, winning a tournament is also a very unique achievement in its own right. And who knows, that could have been Io's chance to become someone in the scene. He kind of faded away, sort of, after that. So I'm not sure how I feel about that as well. And then, Justin Wong, I think he beat Justin, Daigo. So Daigo won the event. They invited someone who didn't win, and he won the whole thing, and the next meeting, so that ended. Daigo elated, the king, all this stuff, and he won. Io lost, Justin lost, it's all about Daigo. The next event was EVO, 2009. So I had my ticket for EVO, and I went to EVO, and I beat Daigo at EVO in the only match that we got to play, which was the money match in the hotel room. I beat Daigo. So it sparked the conversation, what would have happened if they had actually honored that agreement of letting Europe be a part of the thing, and then Ryan had come, and they had all played each other. I think it would have been a much more interesting spectacle to have Europe, NA, Japan there, because that would have been, if I can tell you right away, if it had been me and that Dalsim guy, I would have got wrecked. He was too good. Daigo, it's a Shoto match. It's Sagat Ryu. I can play that, but I had no idea how to play against SF4 Sim on that level at that time. I had no idea. I would have got wrecked. And Justin probably would have beat me then as well. I wasn't good against Rufus yet. I got a lot better at it later on, as you see, but during that early SF4 time, I wasn't that good against Rufus. So I probably wouldn't have won the event in America, because I probably would have lost to Io and I would have lost to Justin. If Daigo had have been invited and I got there, I might have beaten Daigo. That's something that might have been an interesting match. But whether who would have won, lost is not the point. The point is Europe kind of gets shafted when it comes to these things. They're not viewed in the same way as NA is, and with the same value, and they're not viewed as the same value as Japan is. So it's saddening for me, because that was a great part of the early SF4 period was a good highlight of my career, and it just felt like that window being closed just kind of shut me down there, you know, and I didn't understand why no one ever really explained it. You know, was it a budget issue? What, you know? But yeah, people talked to me about that. They did come to me and say, hey, how comes they didn't, I thought you were going to I saw the event. Why weren't you there? You know, people came to me about that. So it's not something that's just about me where I didn't know. And it's, you know, like everyone knows why and I'm just the one who doesn't know. Lots of people don't have answers to why it was created that way and just Europe left out in the end. So yeah, there's the story. Now you know. What?
Did you ever get the answers?
No, I didn't push for one. Once it wasn't transparent, I didn't push because what are you doing at that point? You know, what's the point in, oh, why didn't you? You just look like a sourpuss. You know, it's after the fact, the milk's been spilled, let it go, you know? So but it did bother me. I'm telling you about it in an interview in 2021. So obviously it did bother me. There are remnants of pain around that missed opportunity. But if it hadn't been communicated in the beginning, maybe my expectation level would have been different. But the fact that from the get-go, this was about getting to the world final and winning, of course I'm going to be disappointed. You know, that's natural. So yeah, I don't understand what happened. Looking back, I think it was probably something to do with budgets. Maybe flying out a person from Europe was something they hadn't budgeted in, or I honestly don't know. But yeah, it's either way, it's disappointing, especially because when I did go to Evo, I wasn't this outcast player that couldn't beat anyone. I beat a good 90% of everyone I played at Evo, you know, and even did well in the actual Evo tournament. And on top of that, I beat Daigo, one of the only people to beat Daigo in that entire building. You know, me and Arturo Sanchez on that day were the only ones who beat Daigo. I mean, Daigo beat everybody at Evo. He won Evo. The only losses on Daigo's card for that Evo are against me and Arturo, which is massive when you think about the fact that he entered the tournament with, I don't know how much, was it 3,500 players? You know, but the two losses, the two L's are against me, Sagat from the UK and Arturo with his amazing Dalsim, you know? So yeah, I think it wasn't fair to not have the match at the GameStop thing and let that be a nice part of history, whatever happened, you know? But yeah, it's hard playing in the UK and knowing that you're seen as a player that has lower value to a potential counterpart somewhere else in the world, and not for any reason other than where they are in the world. It's not like your results don't stack up or something, you know.
I could talk about that particular topic all night, especially with regards to a certain region of the United States.
Oh, really?
I happened to find myself in for a week in 2019.
Oh, right, okay.
I remember because here's my story time.
Okay, here we go. I got my Earl Grey ready.
Do you ever remember the OC? Do you ever remember the OC Goodwill LA tournament? Do you remember that being talked about at all?
Ah, man. I'll be honest, it doesn't ring a bell.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Basically, it was it was a weird event because it was done with like a summit style voting.
Okay.
Obviously there were a bunch of invited. Like Gachikun was invited, Punk was invited, Big Bird was invited, and they had voting for the rest, and basically, I just kind of like entered for a laugh. I put myself in the voting for a laugh, and then I kind of realised that after like a bunch of basically the stars aligned, and certain people who would have absolutely trounced me in a popularity contest did not enter. So I'm like, okay, so it was people like quite a few people were doing a lot to help. Like Logan was absolutely instrumental in helping me get into this. He didn't even put down money. He just like the amount of times he like shared and told people just vote for him, and even getting me on Winner Stays On, just to be like, yeah, vote for him. And then I got into this event. I flew out to the States, and I'm like, okay, this is my first time playing a fighting game in the States since 2012. I hadn't been to America for a fighting game event since 2012. And I just remember, like, like I didn't expect people to know who I know who I was, but
Right.
I had people like saying like, "What's he doing here?" And I'm like,
No, are you serious?
yeah, I was like, "What? No, not from Punk or Punk and Big Bird. They knew who I was. They knew me.
You're telling me that there are people that knew who you were that were saying, "Why are you there?" That sounds
just like
disrespectful.
I'm not gonna name names, right? But certain American players, were like, "Who's this guy? Why is he here? How did he get here?" And I just remember, and then I sat down and played some of these people for money, and I did again. I'm not gonna name names. But against some of them, I didn't even drop games.
Oh, mate. You know what? You know what? Now, that's sick, yeah? That's definitely sick. And it reminds me of this time. It was one of... So, when I was a manager, a team manager, I flew out... I got some of the UK boys on the team, put jerseys on them, and I flew them out to Evo. And when we arrived at Evo, they did money matches. And of course, no one really knew who they were because there isn't, or at least there wasn't a heavy spotlight on the UK community. So I just remember I remember like Femi, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars he made side betting when Andreas would play people with Rufus because no one knew who Andreas was. So Andreas would just sit down there and then, you know, some favorite US player would sit down to play Andreas for money, and then some guy would come up behind the American and be like, "I got 50 on my bro, I got 50 on my," and then Femi would just lap it up every time. "Yeah, I'll take that 50. And Andreas would just go to work and just put people in boxes the whole day. Like seriously, he was just battering people, and it's just what it is. When you come from the UK, you start out with minus frames. When you're no, I'm serious. When if you start playing fighting games in the UK, you're on a deficit. You're not. If you come from Asia, you're on plus frames. Even if no one has ever seen you play, because you're Japanese, people will think you're good. They'll start playing you and start backing up, shook, scared, in case you like know what they're gonna do. It's just perception. People are conditioned. You know, when I went to Japan, no one expected anything from me because they don't know. Just, you know, like there wasn't this expectation. When I see Japanese players go to the US guys are already expecting that this guy is sick because he's Asian, conditioned by the view. And this is what it is. And that's not limited to the US. I'm sure in the UK people are doing that as well. I remember when we've had Daigo or anyone from the UK come to the UK, there is that kind of, you know, oh, but like, it's Daigo though, you know? So yes, it's Daigo, so we know he's good. But my point is, there's already that preferential treatment just because he's this strong Asian player, you know? But that's a bit more transferable. You could say the same with me or Luffy or, you know, so maybe that point not so much. But the element of you're British, so you're crap, has been one of my grating issues for 25 years. I went to America for the first time in 2001, 20 years ago, would you believe it? And I introduced the US community to the Mishima style of Tekken. They didn't have anyone who played Mishimas quite like the way Mishimas play, with Korean backdash, with tech catches, with really strong wave dash into mix-ups, you know, waving into while standing cancels, camera switching. Like, I had all the tricks. It all started with me learning from a Korean guy that lived in the UK. That's where my entry level into Korean style came. But then I developed my own style from that and brought that style to the US, and they had never seen anything like it. I beat everyone. I beat every single player in the US. Not a single player in the US. I lost to the Korean guy in the tournament. So it wasn't a US guy. I mean, actually, I did lose to Job, the champion, but it's a tricky situation because my stick broke in the set, and I had already beaten him in the 4-hour series that we had the day before, or a few days before that. So it's arguable that he beat me, you know, after we had that grueling set. But anyway, I did beat every single player, you know, if you want to count out those two, but I did beat every single other player there. And it was a very educational time for them because they didn't have access to anyone like me. So when they met me, it was a really, you know, everyone benefited. I learned that, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this. You know, that's some clarity was given back to me with my results there, that, oh wow, this is not just something that works in the UK or Europe. This is actually transferable, you know. And then also they learn that, there are good players in the UK. You know, they're not just scrubs, you know. We've never seen anything like this. We can't defend against this. You know, this is new. But before I went, the perception was you're British, you're crap. You can't possibly be good with that passport. There's no way you're good at games. And I don't know where that comes from. I don't know where I understand a bit more that he's Asian, he's good, because most of the games are developed there. So you just think that everyone there is sick. But I don't understand where the other side of the coin comes from, that if you're over here, though, you're crap. Like, what? Where did that... You know, did we have a bunch of players that went there that were all crap and they just forever thought that everyone from England's not good at games? I don't get where that comes from. But yes, for my entire gaming career, I've been facing this prejudice and discrimination on gaming levels. You know, like, what? You're from England. There's no way that you can do this combo. Basically, they might as well be saying that, you know. But yeah, it was good to go there and show them that that's not the case.
I mean, I won. The prize money I got from that tournament, I was like $200 something after fucking California's the amount of tax I had to pay on those money. But then I walked out. But the amount I walked out from money matches was about $500.
So you won more from money matches?
Oh, of course.
Sick.
I mean, I came ninth. But I walked like I was just sitting down on the final day. I'm like, I was literally playing anyone for money.
That's good. That's a good spirit to have. I think people need to be more like that, willing to lose to get more. I've noticed a lot of people are kind of like sparingly going into challenges. I mean, just look at ranked. You ask someone to do a rank set, like, sorry. You go into a rank set and then you ask them to do a lounge lobby match. Oh no, I don't want to do lobby. You know, people are scared to lose. People are scared to be figured out, lose. Label it whatever you want it to be. But the competitive drive has dwindled now in the community. There used to be a ferociousness about one-on-one battles, about who's better. Now it's, there's a tournament coming up, so I need to plan for that, and I need to make sure that I can beat this guy because last time it was close. And there's no just enjoying the competitive nature of squaring off. It's all about these hidden, let me keep that a secret and let me not show this. And I understand that combat, the art of combat, is about defeating the mind. I get that. You need to have a degree of trickery, skullduggery, if you will. I get that that's part. I mean, if there's anyone that knows that, it's me. I know. But I'm just saying that I miss the open competitive drive where people wanted to face off. That it's like, yeah, let's go. Now, because we have tournaments left, right, and center, people will rather not do that and just play in the tournament. And even if they go 0-2 in the tournament, they still won't play you because there's another tournament next week. Got to get ready for that now, or next month, or next, and it just, I think a lot of the competitive focus is lost. So when people go abroad, they're not ready for a certain amount of variety in playstyles. You don't have any choice at who comes into your path in the tournament. That's down to the TOs and whoever does the brackets and whoever does the seeding. That is not in your control at all. So it's in your best interest to know how to deal with as many styles of player with a specific character as possible. So it doesn't long-term help you to say, I'm not playing this guy, I'm not playing that guy. That doesn't help you. What are you saving for? You might learn something in that set, even if it's a guy that you're better than. Even if you ultimately win the set, you can learn things from sets against players that you're better than. And that's something that's helped me in my career. Just playing only the people that were better than me was a different dynamic. Yes, there are those benefits there, but there are three dynamics. The players that you're better than, the players that are the same as you, and the players that you can't beat. And from each dynamic, you need to take things. There are tools to develop your career from each level of player. And without all three, you'll always be missing something. Was I muted?
No, I'm just...
Oh.
I'm
digesting.
I'm just thinking. That's a lot of wisdom. That's another wisdom bomb you've dropped there. I need to.
Sorry, the shock value is pretty intense today. No, I didn't mean to, but yeah, this is what I do. This is what I do. Okay, I keep it real. I tell it how it is, and instead of childishly calling people out on stuff, I will just say, this is the benefit of this that you're missing out on, because at the end of the day, a lot of the communication is usually around what the opinionated tier list looks like, or what the frame that, what you can do with this situation with frames, or how V-Shift beats that option. But there's very little in, am I better than I was yesterday? How about that question? There's not much of that. There's all this, I can do everything, I know all the matchups, but, day to day, what's happening? Who did you play today? How was that beneficial for your long-term, for your long-term sphere of where you want to be? And I think, so that's why I've noticed that by channeling people's minds with that kind of thought process, you kind of get them to see a bigger picture than just them. Just them, what they are doing right now. It's about a community effort, first of all. Strong players should support the community because that's the backbone, that's the pillars that hold the building up, But then also they should be able to use that to develop themselves too. It shouldn't just be, I don't want to give back because I'm not getting anything. No, there should be kind of like a double whammy where you kind of get to give back, but you also benefit from that. And it's a skill that takes time to master, to be honest. That's something I was not good at before. I was very, someone calls you. But I was never that bad, but let's just use this as an example. Sometimes someone will ring up someone and say, hey, I'm having a session tonight. Do you want to come over? Who's coming? And it's sort of a bit weird, right? Because now you kind of have to sell your session. You're being invited into the home of someone who's kind enough to invite you to their house. So who's coming is kind of a rude answer. Do you see what I'm saying?
I agree, but I have also been guilty of that myself.
No, we all have, which is why it's a good analogy, right? We all have. It's a good example, let's say, because, it's definitely something that's done. But it also suggests that you're not there because you're willing to support the community. You're only there if there's an immediate interest for you, which is a selfish perception, which is a selfish outlook. You might be good and you might be... So I think that is okay when you're kind of still up and coming and you're finding yourself, because when you're finding yourself, you shouldn't be forced to give back. You need to, before you find yourself, you need to focus on that. That should be the only, but finding yourself doesn't come from hiding yourself. I'm only playing if that guy's there, or I'm not going to do the lounge match because I don't want them to figure me. You don't get there. There are places you need to be that you can't get to unless you go through if you want to get to a certain state in the US, you got to travel through different states because it's that way. That's the only way to get there. You got to travel through some area. And this is how it is. You want to be the best, but to get there, you got to go through this, this, and this, and this. But you're stopping yourself there saying, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want him to. Getting good is about being, first and foremost, getting good is about people figuring out elements of your game. They figured that out, overcome you there, so you have to now readjust, readapt, and align. When you do that, you develop because there's progress. If you stay in your path of being good and you never get tested, you don't really develop unless you have a very keen sense of what is needed, which is not easy. But usually that comes with experience. You'll be looking at a person who's been playing for a long time, who's had a lot of, that kind of back and forth already. They've had that already, so they're there, But before you've had that, you need to be accepting every kind of battle, set, whatever, just to make sure you're on a certain level, and you understand what it's about. I mean, the best player in Europe right now is Problem X. And if you go to Battle Lounge on CFN and look at how many matches he's had, there is no one in the UK or in Europe or in the world that has more Battle Lounge and ranked matches than that guy. Just think about that for a second.
I think about it at least once a week.
So this is one area that shows you hard work does not lie. Hard work does not tell porcupines.
It does not.
It's as honest as that. It's as honest. It's the most honest thing there is. So, this ethic of, I don't want to be figured. Do you think that he would get there if he was like, I'm not playing that guy, he might work me out? The hours on the clock would not look like that if that had been his ethos from the get-go. Because he's been so open to learning and exposing himself while learning about other people, because he's been prepared to do that, he's developed. Look at him now. probably got the most wins out there, and he's won the biggest tournament in the world. So, just see what I mean when you're talking about parallels. This is a parallel of what it can be to be a champion. And yeah, and you can run that by anyone. Daigo, Tokido, Bonchan, they've taken their licks. They've been beat down 10-0. They've lost to players they thought they'd never lose to. You just don't see it, because when you see them, you're seeing the rehashed, the developed form. You're seeing the refurbished Daigo. Man's come fresh out the manufacturers, redeveloped. And this is what it is. And people get caught up in this guy's unbeatable. Sonic Fox, oh my god. Sonic Fox has had losses. To get to that place, he's had to have losses to get there. And that's what that is. He's learned from his losses. He's learned from his mistakes. He's tidied up. He's worked out how to defeat the mind. You see? So, yeah, there are things that players of a certain caliber all have in common, because they know what it is. It's like if you come to, let's say I live in Liverpool Street, and I don't know, you're in London Bridge, and then you say, yeah, you arrive at my place, we're at the session, and you arrive, yeah, how did you get here from London Bridge? You take that bus, because we know the route, we know what the journey looks like. Did you take that bus, or did you take that train line? And we know how the journey looks because we've done it a million times ourselves. When you've done the journey yourself, you know what it looks like, and you know what it takes to get there. And this is the same thing. Any top player knows that to get there, you need to have done this and this and this step. And that's also why you can just know who's a top player just by how they talk about things. This guy's not there yet. This guy's almost there. This guy's never going to get there, or whatever, right? You can just tell just by hearing how people think, So yeah, also interesting, but another topic.
That, how I said I'm probably gonna, I'm probably just gonna be lying awake at 3 a.m. just condensing all of this.
Yeah.
I'm probably not even gonna sleep. I'm starting to think this might actually be some kind of mental warfare for our wanted set.
It's always mental warfare. Getting out of bed is mental warfare.
Agreed. That's right. I want to throw you a slightly more light-hearted question.
Go for it.
All right. What is your typical post-Winner Stays On Sessions food order when Matt brings out the company card and we all walk to Mackey's? What are you getting?
I was a big fan of the Big Tasty. It's not around anymore, but that was one of my go-tos for a while. I used to like that.
Man said a Big Tasty.
Big Tasty was gassed. That sauce was sick. That sauce was extra sick. But you know what? I mean, I think last time I just got a standard Big Mac in that, because it's one of them things I ain't had for time, innit? So let me just get one of these get a quick Maccas. But I'll get a side of nuggets. You know what I'm saying? Free food, and that might as well make the most of it. I get the nuggets going, and then I'll get like a milkshake, because Tuesday milkshake's a bit extra, and you have to pay extra for that. Normally I wouldn't pay for that, but because it's on the man's thing, innit? I'll get a milkshake instead. So yeah, I'll get about 9 different sauces for the 6 nuggets, because obviously I need 3 sauces for each nugget. So yeah, that's what I'll do there. But yeah, it's always a good time, man. I like the little Winner Stays On thing, because we need the social aspect as well. You're not just playing. You need that offline playing, but you need that offline talking about playing, or just chilling with people that play. Chilling with people that play is one of the most refreshing experiences that you'll go through as a player, because you'll stop playing the game and realize that you're all so different. And that is really, it's like, when you're playing the game, you're all the same person, because you're all speaking the same language. The language of Mortal Kombat, the language of Street Fighter, the language of... You're all speaking the same language. I relate that to... for those people that know, but I also did breakdancing for 12 years. So in terms of the spoken... in terms of it being a form of communication where every move that's performed is like a sentence or a paragraph, breakdancing is also that communication. And it's unique in the sense, in the same way as gaming is, in the sense that people that don't know what's happening on the screen, people don't understand what the guy's doing on the floor in the circle in b-boying, they don't speak the language. They don't understand what that means. When they watch the screen, they don't know that this means that now. Because he's done that, that means that this is not a possibility anymore. He's told him no here, basically, So these little... we are all communicating and conversing in this one language when we meet at Winner Stays On. But then when we stop that and come out of that, we're just, we're just our unique characters, aren't we? In real life, we all have our own family, we have our own educational background, we work at different places, we have different hobbies outside of it, and it's just a great blend, and it's just a beautiful time to appreciate how diverse the FGC is. And that's something that's always been really nice. And I love seeing people just like start gelling together outside of the game as well, because you just see how powerful gaming is, that it can just connect people on such a deep level. People find comfort in the FGC, where they're able to talk about things they've not been able to share with anyone else. And it's like just the fact that you can have this, this alternate world with a person through the game allows you to open those very delicate, portals within you, that private space in your mind where you've always just felt so vulnerable. Now you've found a place of warmth and comfort, and you're around family basically, and it's a great thing.
Sorry.
Have I left you speechless again?
No, I muted myself briefly because I was having a bit of a coughing fit.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my order. Big Tasty, chips, 6 nuggets and a drink. And when they didn't have Big Tasty, I think I just got whatever new thing was there. They had this classic chicken thing for a while, but yeah, they started doing the signature menu, and so I used to just get different things really. And if it was just about generic Mackie stuff, then probably quarter pounder of cheese meal. That would be my go-to.
Like I don't eat meat. I don't eat meat. I keep kosher.
You don't eat meat, but you eat at McDonald's. So
I keep kosher, so I typically.
Oh, I see.
I won't order meat. I won't order meat from.
Fillet of fish is banging, bro.
The fillet of fish, like it's
tartar sauce. Gas.
It's right. Here's the thing: like, I can't eat it sober. Like when I used to go on when I was at uni in Newcastle, I'd go on nights out, and a fillet of fish at 3 a.m. was like the best thing in the world back then. but after WSO at midnight, just trudging along with the gang, like I was not in the mood for a fillet of fish, so I would usually just just tell Matt to get me like 3 apple pies or something.
Oh, that's all right. I remember in America they had cherry pie. Was that America? Yeah, they had that apple pie, and you could get one that was the cherry pie. That was nice, man.
Oh, that sounds banging.
Yeah, it was that same thick pastry that they got on the apple pie, but it was cherry inside. Oh, it was ridiculous.
That sounds pang.
It was ridiculous. That was actually S tier. Not even joking.
I was gonna ask a question about with regards to advice for young and up and coming players, but the amount of knowledge bombs that you've dropped during this, I don't really think there's any point in asking that, because anybody who listens to this is probably going to reach like some kind of enhanced stage of enlightenment. So I'm not sure there's any point in even asking that question.
Yeah, I mean, if people have further questions, they can always look me up. They can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Face. You know what I'm saying? Bookface, as they call it. I'm about, and I'm happy to support and help. I've got a Discord coming, so if people want to reach me, they can reach me there.
Ooh!
Well, so that should be good, because I'm starting like a little, talk about it a little bit, but sound like a little academy to kind of teach people like about the mindset of playing, like not just, I can do this flashy combo, but just how to get to that status where you're ready for tournament and you're not freaking out and you're not crumbling and nervous.
P. Diddy coaches, you know where I am.
So, yeah. All right, cool. I hear that. So this is something, a little operation that's going down.
It's been an absolute. It's more than a pleasure. It's been absolutely wonderful. This chat's been absolutely amazing. This is I won't lie to you. I've not had the greatest of days today.
Okay.
And this is more than cheered me up. You've been an absolute fucking diamond, Ryan.
Pleasure, man. Pleasure always.
All right. I think at this point, I think I just got to decide. Do you have anything else you want to plug before?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, if you guys need to reach out at Ryan Joseph Hart on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, There's RyanJosephHart.com, my website. Got connecting links on there as well if you need to reach me. I've got a couple of tournament plans. I've got a few projects that I'm working on where I'm going to be delivering some cool tournaments for the community. Some for Tekken and some for Street Fighter. I got a really sick one for Street Fighter coming up. It's going to be the most hyped tournament of the year. I said it here. It's going to be the most hyped tournament of the year. It's super gassed. Like, I'm so excited about it. But yeah, that's in the works. And because it's not confirmed yet, I don't want to say too much. When you can't deliver the final product, it's just weeks.
Exactly.
So I'm not gonna say about it now. But it's planned, and hype tournament of the year. Okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but it's gonna be one of the most hype tournaments of the year. That is guaranteed. It's gonna be super hype. So yeah, that, and yeah, I'm just really excited about what's coming next. And like I said as well, always happy to support you guys, looking out for your best needs as well as trying to, support my own as well. But yeah, and follow me on the stream as well. I got a stream that I'm kind of using a bit more frequently now. So yeah, twitch.tv/Ryan_Hart. And yeah, all that good stuff, man. Safe.
It's been absolutely, once again, it's been absolutely wonderful having you on.